Hello, Tulsa Zoo friends. My name is Kaylin, and welcome to another day of Zoo School. Today, as usual, is Meet an Animal Friend Friday, and I brought Peepers today to meet you all. But this is also a question and answer. So as I'm talking about Peepers, if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comments, and I will answer them in just a few minutes. So a little bit about our friend Peepers here. He hatched in 2008, so he's about 12 years old right now, and his parents actually live in the rainforest building here at the Tulsa Zoo. So he hatched here at the zoo, and he was hand-raised to be an education animal in our ambassador animal collection in our education department, so he can come out and meet people for educational programs just like this. So because Peepers was hand-raised, he loves people. So our volunteers and our staff who get to work with Peepers really enjoy working with him because he's such a personable owl, and he really likes being with people and the attention from people as well. So a little bit about spectacled owls. The reason why they're called spectacled owls is because if you look at Peepers' face, and I was looking behind him right now, but if you look at his face, you see these white feathers around his eyes. So those kind of give the appearance like he has glasses on. So that is why they are called spectacled owls. And they are native to the rainforests in Central and South America. So this is Rainforest Week for Zoo School, so I thought it would be perfect to bring Peepers out to represent owls for Rainforest Week. One thing, if you look at Peepers, and something that is common to owls is they typically have really good camouflage. So if you look at Peepers, you'll see that his kind of belly is a lighter color, and behind him and his head on the back side and his wings and his back are a darker color. They're more kind of a dark brown. So what we call this in the animal world for an animal that has kind of a lighter belly and a darker back is called countershading. So spectacled owls in the rainforest are going to be perching up in the trees, looking down at potential prey items below them, but also there could be things above them that would be preying on them. So countershading is a really effective camouflage tool in animals that helps them kind of blend in. So things that look up, they're blending in with the light above them, and then things that look down, it's darker, so they blend in well from coming down because you can't see them as well. So Peepers is an owl, like I said, and owls are birds of prey. And what a bird of prey is an animal or an owl that eats meat. They're carnivorous. And they have some special adaptations common among all of them that help them be these awesome, awesome predators. So one thing that they have is silent flight. They have specialized feathers that are fringed, and because they're fringed like that, whenever they fly and they move through, in Peepers' case, the rainforest, it's silent. This is really, really beneficial since they are birds of prey. They're looking for smaller mammals primarily to eat. And so that silent flight is really beneficial for them because things really can't hear them that they're coming. They also have these really large forward-facing eyes. So some birds more have eyes on the sides of their heads, and Peepers' eyes are directly on the front of his head because he is more of a predator. And so these really large eyes help them see it at night. They have excellent vision for at night. They're primarily nocturnal animals, and that nighttime vision and those forward-facing eyes give them incredible depth perception to see how big an animal is, how fast it's moving, where exactly it's located. So it makes them an awesome predator in that sense as well. So because they have these really, really large eyes in their skulls, they can't move them actually. Their eyes stay still. So how we can like look around the room without moving our heads, owls can't move their eyes around to look around like that. But they have a really, really special adaptation that helps them have really good vision all the way around. And that is their neck and how they can turn their heads. So us as humans have 7 bones in our neck, and we can look side to side, up and down, and we have our forward-facing eyes, but we can move them, so we have pretty good vision around us. Owls, since they can't move their eyes, they can turn their heads because they actually have 14 neck bones. So we have 7, they have 14, twice as many as we do. And Peepers is showing it off pretty well right now. You see how he's turning his head around to look at his surroundings in here. He could actually, if he wanted to, turn his head 270 degrees. So not all the way back around to the front, but pretty close to it. It's an incredible adaptation that owls have to be able to see their surroundings really well. They also have primarily asymmetric ears. So asymmetric ears is kind of a weird word, but what it means is essentially if we had asymmetric ears, it would look like we had one ear like way up here on our head and one ear way down here on the other side. So they're displaced on their heads. You can't see them because their feathers are covering their ears. But this allows them to tell where sound is coming from very precisely. Really helps them whenever they're trying to look for prey, if something's moving below them. If they hear the slightest sound in whichever ear it's captured in, that kind of tells them what direction that is in. And you can see Peepers is now showing off that ability to look behind him extremely well. So the last really special adaptation that we're going to talk about with Peepers and owls in general is their talons. So if you look, you can see Peepers has these long talons on his feet, and they are incredibly sharp and they're incredibly strong. And this is important for owls for multiple reasons. One is defense. Even though owls are birds of prey, there are things that will come after them to eat them as well. So they can use these talons to protect themselves. But the main reason why they have these is because that's how they find their food as well. So owls will sit up in the perching. For Peepers, it's going to be in the rainforest, and they're kind of more of a sit and wait. And they'll wait for a prey item to come along underneath of them, and then at the opportune moment, they'll swoop down and grab them really, really strong with these really strong talons, and that's how they eat their food.
How old can owls live, like spectacled owls?
So birds of prey and owls in general are actually a pretty long-lived species. Most owls in human care can live 20, 30, even up to 40 years. They're really, really long-lived. In the wild, it wouldn't be quite as long as that. Usually 10 to 15 years for an owl in the wild would be a really good lifespan.
Do they have any special muscle groups in their eyes?
Any special muscle groups in their eyes? That is a great question. I'm not 100% sure the answer. I wouldn't think so. We can post in the comments a better answer to that question. Since their eyes are fixed in their skulls, I don't think they have much muscles that would help them look around.
What's Peepers' favorite meal?
So Peepers eats mice here at the Tulsa Zoo. That is his food of choice.
Does Peepers ever fly around the zoo?
So Peepers doesn't fly around the zoo. Whenever we have him out, he likes to stand on our gloves like this, but he does fly around in his enclosure, get some exercise in there. We have lots of perching at different levels for him that he can move around and look at his environment.
Does Peepers have a favorite thing about his keepers?
So Peepers, typically, I think he was raised by females, so he tends to really bond with his female caretakers really well. And the big thing with Peepers, since he was a hand-reared owl, is just that quality time. So we offer all our animals out here tons of different kinds of enrichment to make their lives very fulfilling for them. And one thing that Peepers enjoys the most is just quality time with his caretakers. So whether that's getting him out, taking him on a walk, or going in his enclosure and giving him some head scratches, just that quality time and building that bond is what means the most to Peepers.
How much does Peepers weigh?
So Peepers only weighs about 1.5 pounds, which you're probably thinking that is incredibly light, and it is. It's about a pack of butter, that's it. So owls have hollow bones because they need to be able to fly. They need to be able to be lightweight in order to get that lift. So even though he looks like a pretty good size, and he is a medium-sized to large-sized owl, he's still very light.
Could Peepers break bones?
Could he break bones, his own bones or other animals' bones?
I think other animals.
Other animals' bones. So that is part of those sharp, really strong talons they have. They have incredible grip strength. So when they swoop down and grab their prey, it's going to kind of subdue that prey, typically pretty quickly because of the sheer force of their grip strength.
We'll have time for a couple more questions. Does he shed feathers?
Does he shed feathers? Excellent question. So shedding of feathers in birds is something that we call molting. And Peepers does molt. When they molt, they look a little rough because they lose most of their feathers and they'll have new ones coming in. But he typically does this a couple times a year. So he will replace those feathers.
I think that's all we have today.
Awesome, great questions. Thank you everyone so much for watching us for another day of Meet an Animal Friend Friday. As always, we appreciate you watching our videos, liking and sharing them with your friends. While the Tulsa Zoo is still closed, we're still here caring for our animals, so your support means the world to us, and we will see you next week for another week of Zoo School. Bye!